The sun was slipping down behind the golden hills of the Serengeti. A soft orange light covered the endless grasslands, and the warm breeze carried the quiet sounds of life settling down for the night. Birds flew low over the fields, and in the distance a group of elephants moved slowly toward a watering hole, their giant shapes peaceful against the glowing sky. Ranger Elias pulled his jeep to a stop near an old acacia tree. It was his favorite spot to watch the land breathe at sunset. Elias wasn't just a ranger. He loved this place like it was his own heartbeat. Every tree, every river, every animal. He knew them all by sight, by sound, even by the feeling in the air when something wasn't right. As he leaned back in his seat, sipping warm tea from a battered mug, a strange feeling crept over him. It was like the wind carried a whisper, something almost too soft to hear but heavy enough to weigh on his chest. His eyes scanned the horizon. That's when he saw it. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, a large shape moving strangely through the tall grass, almost crawling. His heart picked up speed. Lions didn't move like that. They were proud, powerful, the kings of this land. This was wrong. Without thinking, Elias grabbed his binoculars. He raised them and gasped. It was a lion, a huge male with a dark, thick mane, but it wasn't walking. It was limping badly, every step slow and painful. Even more shocking, the lion wasn't trying to hide. He was coming straight toward Elias, eyes wide, desperate, almost as if he was begging. Elias jumped out of the jeep, heart pounding. He knew better than anyone that a wounded lion could be deadly, unpredictable. Yet something deep inside told him not to run, not to raise his weapon. He stood still, watching. The lion stumbled closer, then collapsed just a few meters away, letting out a low, broken sound. Not a roar, not a growl, but something like a cry for help. Elias swallowed hard. "Easy, big guy," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I hear you." He quickly grabbed his radio. "HQ, this is Ranger Elias. I've got an injured lion. Looks critical. Requesting emergency support. Over." Static. Silence. The radio was dead. Elias looked at the sky. Thick storm clouds were rolling. In fast. The radios always went out during these storms. He was on his own. He looked back at the lion. The creature's golden eyes locked onto his. There was no anger in them, only pain and trust. Elias made a decision, a crazy, dangerous decision. "I'm gonna help you," he said softly. Carefully, slowly, he approached. He could see now. The lion had a deep wound on his side, bleeding badly, probably from a fight with another male. The lion tried to lift his head, but it dropped back onto the grass with a low moan. Elias ran back to the jeep, grabbed his first aid kit, and approached again, heart hammering. Every step was a risk. One sudden move, one flash of the lion's powerful claws, and it could all be over. But the lion stayed still. Elias worked fast, cleaning the wound, pouring antiseptic, wrapping what he could. His hands shook. This was no hospital. It was just him, a hurt lion, and the growing darkness. Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the air. The storm had arrived. In seconds, the sky split open. Rain poured down in thick sheets. Thunder cracked like a whip above them. Elias knew he couldn't leave the lion here. The wound would get infected. He would die for sure. He had to get him to the station. But how? The lion was too heavy to lift, even if he wasn't hurt. Elias bit his lip, thinking hard. Then he remembered. There was a metal sled in the jeep, used for moving heavy supplies. If he could just slide the lion onto it, fighting against the rain and fear, Elias pulled the sled out, dragging it through the mud. He knelt beside the lion again. "Come on, buddy," he whispered. "Help me help you." He slid his arms under the lion's huge shoulders and pulled with everything he had. The lion let out a soft sound. Not of anger, but of effort, trying to shift his weight. Inch by inch together they got him onto the sled. Elias tied the sled to the back of the jeep and climbed in, his hands slick with rain and blood. "Hang on," he muttered, and pressed the gas. The jeep moved forward slowly, tires slipping in the mud, dragging the lion carefully behind. The storm was merciless. Trees bent under the wind. Lightning flashed so close, Elias could feel the heat on his skin. At one point, the road disappeared under a rushing flood of water. He had to decide, try to cross and risk getting stuck, or find another way and lose precious time. He looked back at the lion lying weak and soaked on the sled. His golden eyes were still open, watching Elias. "I'm not giving up on you," Elias whispered. He turned the jeep, heading for a longer, rougher trail through the rocks. Branches clawed at the windows. The jeep bounced and jolted over every bump. Twice, Elias nearly lost control. Once he thought the sled would flip, but somehow they kept moving. At last, after what felt like a lifetime, the small lights of the ranger station appeared through the rain. Elias burst through the gates, honking the horn wildly. Other rangers came running, their faces full of shock and disbelief as they saw the massive lion being dragged in. "Get Dr. Hannah, now," Elias shouted. The next few hours blurred into chaos. Dr. Hannah arriving with her medical team, the lion being carefully lifted onto a stretcher, emergency surgery in the middle of the storm. Elias stayed outside the room, soaked, shivering, praying. At one point, he slid down against the wall, feeling empty. "Please," he whispered into the dark. "Please let him live." Hours later, the door opened. Dr. Hannah stepped out, pulling down her mask. Her eyes were tired, but they sparkled. "He's going to make it," she said softly. Elias let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. He wiped his face, not sure if it was rain or tears. Days passed. The lion, whom Elias started calling Kubwa, meaning Great One, healed slowly. At first he could barely lift his head, but day by day he grew stronger. Elias visited him every day, sitting by the pen, talking to him. One afternoon, as the sun set again over the golden hills, Elias opened the gate to the recovery yard. Kubwa stood slowly, his giant body steady once more. For a moment he just looked at Elias. Then, in a moment that would live in Elias's heart forever, the great lion walked forward, brushed his head gently against Elias's shoulder, a gesture of pure trust and thanks. And then, with a powerful roar, he turned and ran back toward the wild. Elias stood there, smiling, tears shining in his eyes. He knew he might never see Kubwa again. But that was how it should be. The wild was calling him home. Friends, if you've enjoyed this story and felt the emotion of it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more true stories from the wild that will touch your heart. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Your time, your kindness, your love for these beautiful creatures, it means the world. Until next time, stay wild, stay kind, and keep believing in the magic of this world.